Hello. So today I'm finally going to hopefully tell you about myself, and I've decided that I'm going to follow in the lovely Celine's footsteps, and I'm going to steal all her questions that she came up with when she did hers. Without further ado, here are, I think there's 20? I can't remember how many questions there are. You'd think I would have made a note of that before starting. But you know, here are like 20 questions about me and my taste in books. First up is favourite genre, and then your favourite standalone and your favourite series from that genre. I do like to read quite broadly, but I think my favourite genre is probably going to be fantasy, and probably always will be, won't lie. I love just escaping to other worlds, and I like magic and magic systems, so, you know, just always works very well. My favourite standalone is probably going to be The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I've got this special edition from Luma Crate. Oh, I didn't realise it had that in the front. Shows how much attention I pay to my books. But yeah, it's wonderful. It's just, I don't know, this book felt like a homecoming for me, and it's beautifully written. But like, it's about books and book lovers. I think library would be the right word. There's this special hidden library, and it's just, it's like stories within stories. I loved it. It was perfect. And then I suppose in the same vein, my favourite series, it is unfinished, so I am also kind of like, oh, do I not kind of include this? But it would be The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Again, the writing is just beautiful. Like both of these, it's their writing's almost like lyrical. Like I could gush about it all day, and I'm terrible about just describing anything. But I've got a special edition that's got illustrations in it. I read it probably 5-6 years ago now when the first time I read it. And I say instantly, it actually took me a little while to get into. It's very slow, so I know it's not for everyone, but I just love it. And again, it's a story within a story. Like, you follow present day, him chronicling his life in the inn, and I always kept forgetting that like this was happening because I just got so wrapped up in the story, as he recounts his life to chronicle it over 3 days. So this is day 1, book 2, The Wise Man's Fear, day 2. And book 3 is not out yet, and it's fine though. It's fine. One day, hopefully. I still love the series, and I still recommend it. And The Slow Regard of Silent Things that follows Auri's also very good. So yeah, definitely. If I'm going with completed though, I'd probably go with The Blade itself at the moment. I do change my mind a lot on what my favourite is, but I've just received the special edition of that from Goldsborough. It's all fancy, like I'm in love. But yeah, by Joe Abercrombie. The series is called The First Law. I think I said The Blade itself before. The series is called The First Law series, and it's just, I love that none of the characters are really that good, but you still love them, and I just fell in love with the world, even though it's kind of, I seem to have a thing for grimdark, and you know, Lord Grimdark himself, so I suppose that's kind of enough said. Next we have favourite tropes. So I am terrible at analysing books like this, so I don't really know what my favourite tropes would be, because I don't really know what tropes are out there. So yeah, but I do like enemies to lovers, just because all the banter that comes with those kinds of books. There's such like, I just need banter in my life. Like they make for like the best dialogue. And I tend to prefer a reluctant hero to like a chosen one story. I've just noticed I'm starting to spin again. I've said I need to stop that in my last video several times, so let's try and sit still. But yeah, I tend to prefer like the reluctant hero. I seem to like less cheery characters, so the reluctance kind of plays into that. And I know I mentioned The Name of the Wind is probably my favourite, but like Quoth is just very arrogant and sure of himself. And I'm not keen on that, so this might be my favourite. He's not my favourite character, but yeah, just reluctant hero is definitely the one for me. Next up is least favourite genre. So that would probably be poetry for me. It's just, I gave it a go last month as part of the Bevies and Book Club that I am one of the hosts for, and just it was not for me. Admittedly, it was kind of niche poetry. It was translated epic poetry, so I read The Death of King Arthur and Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. I did prefer Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Like, I kind of enjoyed it, but I'd recently watched the film Green Knight. Was it called Green Knight? I think it was. But with Dev Patel. I think that's his name. I'm terrible with names of like actors and actresses. Like, I never know who's who. I know who the characters are more. But like, I really enjoyed the films. I kind of enjoyed the poetry as well, but it was not for me. I mentioned The Starless Sea and The Name of the Wind are quite lyrical in their writing. Like, the prose is kind of, I think prose, again, I'm not good at like technical bits and pieces around reading. I just kind of enjoy books. But I just couldn't get into like the cadence of the poems. It just, it wasn't my thing. Maybe I'll give it a go some like more modern poetry sometime, but yeah, I don't think it'll be anytime soon. Next up is a book that started well but had a disappointing ending. I don't have a book to hold up this time because I read it on my Kindle, and you know, that's just gonna be a black and white image, so I might as well just stick something up here. So I'm gonna go with Eligible by Curtis Sittenfeld, just because it just didn't really do it for me. Like, I had such good expectations. It's a Pride and Prejudice retelling as part of the Austen Project, but it's set in modern day America, and you got the vibes very early on. Like, they kind of kept the feeling of Pride and Prejudice and Regency a little bit, and it was like kind of well meshed at the beginning, but then it kind of got more shoehorned in and didn't really flow right. When I started reading it, I thought it'd be probably about a 4-star read for me, but by the end, I think I gave it 2 or 3 stars. I can't remember, but the more I read, the more I kind of didn't enjoy it so much, unfortunately. I also just felt like we didn't really get to know the characters very well. Like, they just didn't grow on me. But yeah, just, I don't like talking about books I didn't like. Okay, and then the opposite of that is a book that started badly, but I loved it. And I do own it, but I just don't seem to be able to find my copy right now. But that would be Ninth House for me by Leigh Bardugo. Just, I don't know, the beginning was so slow and confusing. Like, I kind of get that it was probably the point, but it took me a while to get into it, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. It wasn't quite as dark as I was anticipating it to be, like the way it was bigged up. But yeah, I did really love it by the end, and I'm very excited to read the next. I can't remember what it's called, but I'm very excited to read it. Honestly, I'm terrible with keeping up with like new releases. I'm not a good reader. So next is Most Intimidating on a TBR, and that has got to be Les Mis. So you could probably kill a man with this book, and it's a paperback that has tiny writing, so it's an impressive feat. How many pages is this? It's like 1,230 odd pages, and yeah. I don't know if I will get to this, or at the very least, I'll probably not read the paperback. I will think I'll go audiobook. I haven't watched the film or seen the play, so I might just do that first to see whether I want to invest my time in such a long book. Yeah, it's definitely the most intimidating that I own. So own TBR that you're likely to leave till last. So again, that is probably going to be Les Mis. Like, it might not even get read. We'll see. Yeah, I own too many books, so there are a lot behind me that I've not read, and I really mean a lot. It's kind of embarrassing. But yeah, this out of all of them would still probably be the last book I will read. So next we have one book that everyone should read. I always find that really hard because like everyone likes different genres and things, but yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously I want to type my favourites again, be like, everyone's got to read The Name of the Wind, but then I always prefix that with it's unfinished and it's quite a slow burn book. I know quite a lot of people don't really enjoy slow reads, like they want the pace to be a bit better. I don't know, you know. I should have thought about this more before I started. I don't know, maybe I'll go with Pride and Prejudice or any other Jane Austen. Just, I didn't think classics were going to be for me, and Jane Austen seems to be a very good gateway into them. Like, they're such easy reading, and the stories are still great today. Like, who doesn't love a bit of an enemies to lovers, and the wit in Pride and Prejudice. I just really like Pride and Prejudice. It's one of my favourites, so maybe I should have mentioned that one earlier as well. It's not fantasy though, I suppose. Like, it was my favourite genre. I do enjoy classic though. Okay, I'm not going to get these ones down. They're kind of like over there in the corner. But a book that you dislike that everyone seems to love, that they're well buried in my bookshelf at this point. But when I joined Bookstagram a couple of years ago, everyone was screaming and shouting about Shadowhunters. I think the show was still coming out and a new book in the series was just coming out that I think I've actually got over there because I got caught up in the hype. But I'd never read any of them, and I gave a go City of Bones and didn't overly enjoy it, and then gave a go the next one, kind of didn't finish it. Like, it just wasn't for me, and I feel terrible about that, but I think I'm just not the target audience. Like, I'm older. Everyone read them at the age they're kind of like targeted at, and I am no longer that age. So it's probably just me being late to the party. The next question is a book that's on your shelf for aesthetic only. I'm a complete sucker for a cover buy, so there's probably quite a few, but I'm going to go with The Binding, simply because I have not read it yet, and I've had it since it came out in 2019. So it's 3 years old now, and it's just sitting there, but it's gorgeous. Like, the spine's lovely, the front's lovely, I'm pretty sure that under the cover's lovely. Like, look at the pages there, and if I can turn books, just look at it. It's stunning, but I haven't read it. I think I've even got the other one that she wrote, The Betrayals. I haven't read that one either. I really am bad at reading books. The next question is a beautiful cover but didn't like the book. For this one I'm going to go with The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. I had it as a library book, so I, again, don't have a copy, but I just couldn't get into it. I didn't finish it. I think, I can't even remember how far it got in. I don't think it was overly far. And that's probably on me, because it's got great reviews when you look on Goodreads. So I don't know, I'm a big mood reader, so I don't know if I was just not in the mood, and then coupled with the deadline because it was from the library, I've just not wanted to read it and just struggled with it. With being set around goblins, they've got like quite different naming conventions as well, so I struggled a lot trying to keep track of who was who. I remember that. But yeah, I think I will give it another go sometime, but at the moment that is probably the book, and it is beautiful. Hopefully I've put a picture here by now. It's gorgeous. But yeah, just I didn't get on with it, unfortunately. Where's that book? Book. Next is a series that I am most excited to get to, and I think that's got to be the Age of Madness series by Joe Abercrombie, the first being A Little Hatred. I do own all of them as like fancy Goldsboro editions. Unfortunately I didn't quite get all the same numbers, but you know, it is what it is. But I'm definitely excited to get to this. So I mentioned The First Law earlier. This one follows in the footsteps, well, not follows in the footsteps, well, it follows in the footsteps of The First Law. In that, I'm pretty sure, I like going into books not knowing much, so I don't know the full details, but I'm pretty sure it follows on with the children of that series. So we're like following Glockter's daughter, I think Jerzel's son, so I'm definitely intrigued, especially if the some of the older characters are hanging around still. So yeah, I don't know why I haven't read it yet. I'm not gonna lie. So I haven't finished reading all of the standalones. I think I was gonna do those first. Maybe I should get a move on. A book I could reread endlessly is the next question, and I know I'm just mentioning the same books over and over, but I'd probably mention Pride and Prejudice for this. Like, I already have read it over and over. I just love the story so much. I won't show you the book yet because I've also included the book in another question later on because I'm terrible at this. But yeah, another one that I also read endlessly is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I seem to just be in the tradition of rereading it every October. So definitely love that. Don't own a physical copy for some reason, even though I do that. I've just got it on my Kindle. Should probably invest. And then A Christmas Carol. They seem to be mostly classics, but I reread A Christmas Carol every Christmas as well. Like, it probably gets me in the mood. I grew up watching the film all the time, so Muppets is the best film. And then, why I didn't show you the book, the next one is my favourite cover that I own. Again, I've got a lot of books that are just gorgeous, so it was a hard question, but I'm going to go with my fancy edition of Jane Austen's 7 novels. Hence I didn't show you the book. But yeah, it's the Barnes & Noble leather-bound edition that they do, and it's so shiny. Like, it's gorgeous. Like, so shiny. So yeah, the leather-bound Barnes & Noble Jane Austen 7 novels. So it's got all of the novels in. I think it doesn't have the incomplete one. I'm probably lying now. I can't remember. Because Sanditon? I don't know how you say it. But that one with Lady Susan, and there's another one, they were incomplete. Oh, Lady Susan's in here. But yeah. So, lots of Jane Austen. I still need to read, is it Emma? Yeah, Emma. I haven't finished Emma. I didn't finish that one. Didn't enjoy it. But then again, the protagonist isn't meant to be likeable overly. Like, she's who I didn't really get on with. And that's probably why I struggled. But it's the point, so definitely do need to give that one a go at some point again. I can't remember what colour spines are. I think I definitely need to do a bookshelf reorganisation. Is it orange? I'm just going to give up on that. So the next one is a book that made me cry, and I do own it somewhere. Could even be on the screen right now. I just can't find it with my eyes. But it is A Man Called Ove, I'm gonna go with. Like, I cry a lot of books, I'm not gonna lie, but this one I proper blubbed at. I got through so many tissues. So yeah, it's a gorgeous story, and I love Ove. I seem to have a soft spot for like curmudgeonly older men, because I would say old, but I think he's 59 in it. He's not even that old. That, or I'm gonna start feeling real old real soon. Yeah, it's by Frederick Backman, and it looks at him as he's like coming towards the end of his life. He's recently lost people in his life that he cared for, and you kind of see like his journey through life would be probably the best way to put it. And it's so sad. I cried so much, but it is lovely. Like, I definitely recommend it. Maybe that's a book that everyone should read. But yeah, just make sure you got tissues, because like, it's so sad. Well, I think I'm about to answer the same book again for something. So I preferred the screen adaptation, and I don't really enjoy the screen adaptation in a lot of cases more than the book. So on my blog, when I was asked this question recently, I said that I'd go with the BBC miniseries of Pride and Prejudice, just because, you know, Colin Firth in that is the best. Like, he's the only Mr. Darcy to me, and that lake scene was just great. And I love that the latest Bridgerton, so series 2, like, did a nod to it when they push him in. Well, did he get pushed? When he falls in the lake, though. It's great. Love stuff like that. But yeah, that is me saying Pride and Prejudice again. Maybe A Monster Calls. That was very good, by Patrick Ness. I saw that in cinema as like a screen unseen, so it's something that a chain here called Odeon does, where you just get clues and you see a random film at like a discounted price, usually before it's released as well. It was like one of the first I saw, so I didn't know what I was going into. Had an idea it was going to be A Monster Calls, and it's quite a small book, so I like binged it that day before we went, and then immediately watched the film in the cinema, and it was gorgeous. I love how they did the monster with Liam Neeson playing it as well. Like, again, another book that you will need tissues and will cry a lot at, but definitely recommend that book as well. Next up is a book that you felt pressured to love. So I'm probably going to have to go with Shadowhunters again, even though I did not love it. But the pressure was real. Like, I felt like I really needed to love this book because so many people love this book. Like, a lot of the people I chatted to, their usernames were based on it. Like, they were collecting several editions of them, and like they were obsessed with the book. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, just I felt the pressure that I needed to like this book I'd never read and was giving a go. And I didn't enjoy it. It was not good. Another book that I don't own is like a physical edition, but a book that I didn't expect to love is the next question. That would be Mine Till Midnight by Lisa Kleypas. I don't know how, I'm terrible with pronunciation, so please just give me a little bit of leeway with this. Mine Till Midnight is a historical romance, like a bodice ripper type romance, and it was the first one that I'd ever read, and I didn't think I'd enjoy it, but it was, Bridgerton was just about to come out on Netflix, so everyone was like proper getting into historical romance, and I decided it was time I'd probably give one a go. I kind of knew what I was expecting from it. It was everything I expected from it, but just turns out I loved it. I loved it. It was great. My friend Andrea, she recommended it to me. She's actually releasing her own romance novel, so I'd definitely go check that out. It's called No Regrets. You can pre-order it on Amazon. Just a little plug there. She doesn't know about it. Might not even ever watch this video, but you know, go have a look. I think it comes out in June. But she reads a lot of historical romance and just romance in general. So I had high hopes in that regard, that it was one that she was recommending since she reads so much of them, but I still didn't expect to love it, and I really did. I'm terrible at reading series, so I've not read any more of them yet, but definitely plan to. I've since read one of the Pennyroyal Greens as well, which was also very good. Like, I guess in general, a genre I did not expect to love was historical romance. And the bodice ripper kind of historical romance, not like, oh look, we're just fleeing the war of some sort and oh, we're falling in love. Like, no, this is like smut. And I didn't think I'd like smut either, but apparently, yeah, you can get behind it. Okay, I apparently, despite all the books behind me, don't own many of the books that I am going to be talking about. So the last book that surprised you in a good way, this would probably be All Systems Red by Martha Wells. I read it recently for a readathon, just purely because it's quite short and people seem to love it. But sci-fi doesn't tend to be for me, so I didn't have high expectations, even though it sounded like a great premise, which is why I did decide to give it a go. But I loved it. It's about it's about a murderbot. It's part of the Murderbot Diaries. So that already, just that statement is like intriguing. But yeah, and it was just full of humour. It's short. It was just, and it wasn't all like really technical, bog you down in the details. I tried reading Foundation recently as well by Isaac Asimov, and I did not get on with that. That I did not finish. But this was great. Like, if you're not sure about sci-fi and just want to dabble, or if you love sci-fi even, I definitely recommend All Systems Red. Definitely worth the love it gets. And yeah, hopefully I will break my habit of being terrible with series and actually finish that soon. So yeah. Okay, so the next one is what has been on your TBR the longest, and Wolf Hall has that pleasure. It has been on my TBR since the show came out, and I had a quick Google of that before, and it was 2015. So it's been on here almost 10 years now. So yeah. I love the show, love a bit of historical fiction. Love the Tudors, study them quite a lot in school because my school divided up a couple of the year groups because there weren't enough classrooms. So I repeated a couple of history lessons, did the Tudors a few times. I should love it. It's following Thomas Cromwell. But yeah, just have not got to it yet, and I don't know why at all. Another one that isn't here would probably be Inkheart. I bought it as a child when I hated reading because I did not get into reading until I was about 15. and still haven't read it to this day. I think it's on my parents' bookshelves. Like, that's should probably go root that out sometime and actually get round to reading it. But yeah, but like Kate Mose's Labyrinth. I'm going to butcher this again. My French teacher told me I should never study French because I do not understand it. But the Languedoc. I'm just saying the same thing, I think. I don't think I'm actually changing how I'm pronouncing it. So it's just going to stay as that, even if it's wrong. But the Languedoc trilogy. It was fantastic. And that's like historical mixed with a bit of like modern day. It kind of goes between different timelines. Definitely recommend that as well. But that kind of got me back into reading sort of at the time. But yeah, that's the end of the questions. So I'll just, I guess, give you a few other little bits and pieces about me. So as I mentioned, I absolutely hated reading until I was about 15. Twilight was the book that kind of gave me my love, as terrible as it is when I read it back now. But it did it for 15-year-old Hannah. So I will always be a bit grateful for it, but yeah, I reread it during the pandemic, and yeah, it did not hold up well. In college, Game of Thrones is probably what kind of brought me back to reading after that, because I didn't read for a long time again after that. Game of Thrones, I definitely got swept up in that. So that will probably always have like a little soft spot in my heart, but I am getting fed up with waiting around for that book as well. But unlike with Pat Rothfuss, I think George is done. Like, there's been a series, hated season 8. Like, I think I'm ready to bury that one. Unfortunately. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Hello. So yeah, I got a phone call at the end of when I was filming, and that was a week ago, and apparently I just didn't come back to round off. So hi again, even though this is following on from the other video. Yeah, so where was I? So I like to read broadly. I really enjoy fantasy. That's, as I say previously, is my favourite. I also really enjoy historical fiction, gothic fiction, although half the time I do not know if I'm reading gothic fiction. I'm terrible for figuring out what I'm actually reading. Yeah, so I need to get better at just understanding English literature, I guess, or just literature in general. Anything about books, remembering anything about books. Yeah. I don't really know what I want to do with this channel. I think it will be quite bookish, but I think I'll also have like some of my days out sort of interspersed, maybe bits of cooking. Like the name The Bookworm's Feast came about because I originally planned on vlogging about like food and books, because I love both. The food kind of fell by the wayside very quickly. I think I did a couple of like reviews in like its first week and then just stopped. Have not gone back to it since, really. I do really want to sort of get back to that a bit in a way. I probably won't have like recipes because I tend to just use other people's, and I don't, although I tweak them, I don't really know what I do to tweak them. So yeah, but you can watch me make stuff, I guess. Yeah, should be fun. Will take you on my days out. I'm hoping to travel more, hopefully finally getting a passport, because I've never left the UK before. So yeah, just lots of stuff going on, hopefully, in the future, and maybe I will document bits of it here. Maybe I will abandon this channel altogether. I'm hoping not, but yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I will get better at signing off and not just leaving them like I did last time. Everyone always seems to go on about liking, subscribing, following, so yeah, if I don't feel comfortable pushing that really, but you know, if you want to, are so inclined, please do feel free. Yeah, I guess see if I get less awkward in front of the camera, and I will probably edit most of them out, but the amount of times I've said "so yeah" and has been has been a lot, so hopefully I stop saying that as well, because I'm going to drive myself insane even if I edit them out for you most of the time. I meant to say it again then, didn't. yeah, I hope you have enjoyed getting to know me a bit more through this video. Hopefully it helped. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I really enjoyed watching Celine's when she put together the questions. So I'm hoping at least Celine will enjoy watching this video and seeing my answers to the questions as well. I will put a link to Celine's channel in the description. I can't remember if I mentioned that earlier, but you should definitely check it out. Her videos are so lovely, warm and cozy, and like I will aspire to be like that. I love cozy vibes, I love autumn. I suppose that's probably some stuff about me that I should have mentioned before. Trying to get into gardening as well, so maybe we'll have some gardening on here. I'm terrible at gardening, I keep killing everything. We shall see. You might be just watch the plants die if I did do that. So yeah, but no, it's been wonderful. I am gonna have so much fun editing this. I really enjoyed editing the first video. However, editing this round took a long time because I took 40 minutes of footage, and I know this video probably won't be that long, especially up to before this point anyway, because about 20 minutes of that was me just staring at the shelves being like, I can't find my book. So yes. Editing the longer is taking a lot longer, obviously, but I didn't realise how much longer it would take unless I'm just being slow. Probably doesn't help that I'm doing it on my phone at the moment. Should definitely navigate to a laptop. It would probably be a lot easier. Anyway, I am still being absolutely terrible at rounding off. So yeah, please leave a comment below. I would love to read through them, interact, get to know some of you more. So if there's anything you'd like to answer, if you've got any opinions on what I've said, hopefully they're good opinions or at least healthy debate and not just, you know, I'm a bit nervous about anything that turns into a bit of a fight over anything, because I don't want that. Like, it's good to have differing opinions. Like, why would we want to all be the same? So I do encourage like healthy debate. Be prepared for me to be terrible at healthy debate though, because I have no experience, but like I do enjoy having these conversations, finding out why our opinions might differ. Like, I never want it to be a negative experience discussing anything like that. Feel free to come at me and be like, why do you hate Shadowhunters? Hate was a strong word, but you know, like, I don't know if I'd be able to tell you, but I will try, and I will respect that you enjoy Shadowhunters per se, sort of thing, you know, like, maybe you'll tell me something about the series that I didn't realise before and I fall in love with it now. Like, it's what this is all about. So yeah. I am looking forward to getting to know you. I'm probably rambling too much here. I'm already up to like 7 minutes on the camera and I thought this would be like a 2-minute round off. So I'm doing really well at this. But yes, until next time.